4 years ago, someone using a throwaway account made this post in a subreddit named Relationship Advice. My wife started to hate me and our kids all of a sudden, and now she left us. My wife started to become increasingly hostile towards me, the kids, and her own parents. Our kids are 12, 9 and 4 years old. I first started to notice it around 1 week ago when our 12-year-old tripped while playing and fell on her face. I ran to her to reassure she was okay, but my wife didn't really bother. She just sat on the bench and watched me and our daughter. That evening I asked her why she showed no reaction, and she shrugged it off and told me that I looked after her, so it's okay. That's not her normal behavior at all, and if that had happened a couple of months ago, she would have dropped everything and immediately look after our daughter. A day after that incident, we ate dinner and the 9-year-old asked her to pass him the ketchup. She didn't pass it but responded with, "Why do you want to eat our ketchup?" That caught me off guard and I was extremely baffled. He asked if it isn't also his ketchup, but she insisted that it's hers and her family's ketchup. I thought she was making a joke, but she looked extremely stern and sincere, so I gave him the ketchup instead. The rest of the day was uneventful, but she kept looking at me and the kids in this, I really don't know, aggressive fashion. As if we were a threat to her. During the last week, I received only one kiss, not a single hug or any other kind of affection, and even if she sometimes smiles at me, it just looks extremely forced. Sometimes she just looks at me as if she searches for something. Obviously, I asked her a couple of times if something was wrong, but she always denied it and said everything is fine. The problem is, if she was only hostile towards me, I could somewhat understand it. Maybe I annoy her, maybe she doesn't love me anymore, or she thinks I'm cheating, or I don't know. But she also seems to hate or at least be neutral towards the children. When they talk about school, she doesn't care. When they have problems, she doesn't care. She doesn't tuck them in at night, and I tell our kids that she's just in a bad mood and has a lot on her plate. But obviously, they know as sure as I do that something isn't right. It really got out of hand when 2 days ago her mother called me, asking me if something is wrong with her daughter. Apparently she doesn't, or at least only briefly answers her texts and doesn't want to meet her anymore. She told me that my wife told her that she isn't her real mother, which of course is something horrible to say, and we both don't know why she said it or what exactly it meant. When she asked my wife why, she said that she just excused herself and said that it was a joke. She never, or at least rarely, had an argument with her mom. We all had a great relationship up to this week, and I just can't in any possible way find out what changed. It kept me up at night because my wife just feels like a different person. Now I thought about a mental illness, maybe some form of early Alzheimer's. But it doesn't seem to fit her behavior. She had depression when she was younger, but that was 10 years ago. She was as lovely as one can be not even 2 weeks ago. There are a lot of other instances of her behavior, but I don't have the energy to write them down right now. That brings me to yesterday. I sat her down and asked her if something is wrong and that I need an answer now, or otherwise we will see a psychiatrist. She started telling me that everything was fine and she just has to act as she always does. That sentence made me feel sick to my stomach because I didn't know what it meant. Is she seeing someone? Is someone holding her hostage, or what is happening? I asked her what she meant, but she just brushed it off again, saying that she is okay. I then told her that we're seeing a psychologist, and she started screaming at me that I can't make her. I insisted, so she threw a cup at me, got up and told me that she wants her real family back. I don't know what that means. We didn't change anything. Everything is as it was a month ago. She grabbed her purse and ran out of the house. She returned a couple of hours later and told me that she is sorry for how she acted. She did a complete 360 and said everything is good now. She kissed me and told me that she will explain it tomorrow, but she is just tired now. When we got to bed later, she kept looking at me as if I'm a stranger, but I was also extremely exhausted from everything and just fell asleep. It's morning now and she left the house. I can't find her, and it looks like she packed some stuff of hers. Some jackets, her purse, 2 pairs of shoes. I called her parents, her friends and everyone she knows, but they haven't seen her. Her friends told me that they haven't had contact with her in the last week. Should I call the police now? Have some of you experienced something similar? I just don't know what to do. I have never felt this helpless. A user commented, "I'm so sorry, this sounds terrifying. I would call the police right away, absolutely. They may make you wait a full 24 hours to file a missing persons report, but you should get the ball rolling in whatever way you can immediately. In the meantime, maybe check out any places she frequents and keep the line of communication open with her closest friends and family. Definitely seek out psychiatric help for her ASAP. I wish you the best, This sounds awful. The OP's response was, "Thank you. I haven't thought about going to frequent places. Maybe I'll find her. Yes, I'm going to call the police now." The post was later edited. I called the police a couple of minutes after the first people here told me to. The police responded and they took my story very seriously and said they will search for her immediately. I told them a couple of places she might be. I waited at home and distracted the children, saying that their mom took some time for herself. Her parents are at my house and are playing with the children. They are just as destroyed and unnerved as me. They have found my wife an hour ago at the local park, 5 hours after they started searching for her. It didn't look like she was fleeing or in a hurry but just waiting, sitting on a bench. They told me however that she was extremely hostile towards the police and punched an officer. She is now in a psychiatric clinic but I'm not allowed to meet her nor anyone else. Doctors are caring for her and will call me as soon as they know more. Thanks to everyone that replied. I'm extremely worried and I'm reading into all the mental illnesses you have posted. I just hope it is something they can cure quickly. I still feel like in a bad dream. Not long after the OP made an update post. A lot of people seem to care and I got a ton of encouraging messages, so I will post an update for you. We live in Northern Europe, for those that asked. Thanks to everyone that gave me their advice. A lot of you have assumed schizophrenia or the rare Capgras delusion. Some of you assume she was cheating, which is something I won't even address. Thinking about it, Capgras really fitted the symptoms, but I couldn't just accept that, still hoping she was somehow f***ing with us, or that it was something mild and temporary and I just overreacted. After they took her in, I drove to the mental institute to give an exact explanation of what happened in the last week. The psychiatrist assumed some sort of schizophrenia. They told me they will look after her and I should go home to my children. I felt like I was drunk the entire time. I couldn't close a single eye at night. The psychiatrist called me yesterday evening and asked me to come to her office. I left my children with their grandparents and drove for what felt like an eternity. She told me straight up that she strongly assumes that it's Capgras. She never saw a case of Capgras before, but it fits everything she gathered. She explained to me how the past 2 days went down. My wife arrived there, being extremely hostile. She was put in a safe room where she couldn't hurt herself. She calmed down after a couple of hours and the psychiatrist was able to talk to her. The good news was that she quickly opened up and explained to her what she thinks. She knows that her family and most of her friends have been swapped by clones. She assumed that we, the clones, have sent police officers to get her and that she was scared of what we might do to her. She flew in the first place because she felt that we might attack her, but mostly to get some space. She still isn't sure if the clones are malicious or not. That explains why she was distrusting me and always searched for some signs in me and the kids. My wife said that we act exactly like the real ones and how perfect our disguise was, but she knew that we aren't real because she didn't feel any love towards me or the kids or her own parents. Writing this down feels like a lance piercing through my chest. She also told her how she was trying to hide her distrust of us because she couldn't be sure if we know that she knows that we aren't the real we. Her delusion that we've been swapped came to her one day before I noticed it. 10 days ago. She woke up, looked at me and knew that I wasn't the same anymore, not the real one. Same with the kids, her parents and her friends. She hadn't had those thoughts before. She asked the psychiatrist if she knows who swapped us or why it happened or if this happens often. She tried to avoid answering her question because she wasn't sure how my wife would react if she gave in or took her out of her delusion. My wife then asked her when she can get out again. The psychiatrist asked her if she wants to get out and she answered that she was okay being there. It gives her some comfort being with professionals and she now has time to think. It helps that my wife is a nurse and that she respects doctors a lot. The psychiatrist explained to me how they will try to slowly deconstruct her delusion and that it can take a short or a very long time until she fully recovers. She explained to me that it's possible that she might never truly recover. But the fact that she opened up about it and doesn't necessarily feel scared is a good sign. I'm still not allowed to see her as it could make her panic. She appears to be completely clear of her mind about everything else. She knows names, dates, places, facts and everything she knew before. Only the thought that we aren't the real ones is now a fact for her. Now I wait till they have some good or bad news about how she develops. Writing all of this down really helped me. I'm trying to wrap my head around this situation and I'm mostly scared for her and the children. I can't hide how distressed I am and that my wife isn't at home, so I explained to them that she is in a mental hospital and she has to recover. The 4-yo doesn't really understand, but the other 2 took it surprisingly well. It helps that they heard all those morbid stories my wife told them from the hospital, I guess. They asked me when they can see her and I told them that I don't know, but I hope it will be soon. I haven't felt this empty and I don't know if I should be sad or angry. Thanks to everyone here that helped me. I feel like I'm in a waiting room at the dentist's. It's so surreal. I feel better knowing what the problem is, but worse not knowing when it ends. A user commented below the post about having gone through a similar experience. I felt like I was reading my husband's post. I went through something very similar back in March. Was hospitalized for 10 days. It is like living in a psychological thriller. My heart truly aches for you and your family. I know my husband had a lot of the same emotions you are having. Since March I've returned to work and have been taking excellent care of myself and my children. I make sure I never miss my medication or an appointment with my psychiatrist. Life is good and back to normal. This is the first time I've shared any of my story. I just wanted to give you some hope. Much love to you all. This user's mentioned husband replied. Husband here, let me start by saying it does get better. It's truly fucking scary not knowing what is going on in your partner's head. A lot of what you are describing is very similar to what my wife and I went through. She was convinced I was from an alternate Earth and that I came through a portal she had opened, and that our entire family, including parents and our kids, were also from this alternate Earth. After a brief stay at the hospital, she came out the other side completely back to normal. It's amazing what some rest and a solid medication regimen can do for mental health. She and I have spent a lot of time talking about everything, and all I can say is to make sure that you are there for her as well as taking care of yourself. No matter how scary this is for you right now, she firmly believes that her family has been replaced and is out to get her. This will go away, but that fear takes a long time to heal from. As much as she needs help, so do you. Rely on your family and friends, and make sure you take time to keep your head on straight and don't be afraid to talk to a professional about this yourself. You are not alone in this. The specific diagnosis may be rare, but delusions and psychiatric diseases are not. Take care of your family, and things will get better. 3 months after the final update post has been made by the OP. Hi you all. This will be the final update. It's been 3 months and I feel like I can give another update. Most if not all of you probably don't care or have forgotten, but hey, if anyone wants to know. I haven't responded to most private messages because I didn't feel good enough talking about it. I still kinda don't. To address the elephant in the room, my wife is back with us. She is at home and well and she laughs about the whole incident. More than I do, but that's just me. She immediately started her treatment at the Mental Health Institute. At first, they kept her sealed off from me and the rest of her family and friends. They taught her relations and how the brain works and how to process love and affection and all stuff like that. Meanwhile, I was at home and biting my fingernails away, while explaining to everyone what is happening. Turns out that many people I know and thought highly of, don't believe in psychological damage and mental problems, so that was fun talking about too. Anyway, this isn't really about me here. They somehow convinced her that she has a delusion. Apparently, she almost immediately believed them but said, she still doesn't feel anything towards us, even if she knows that it's a delusion. Her trust in doctors and nurses made all of this so much simpler and I'm so grateful for this. They worked with her more and let her first talk to her parents over the phone. She started gaining trust again and they kinda rebonded. Later they allowed me to talk to her and I wasn't able to say a single word because I basically broke down in tears when I heard her saying, or more like asking, a simple hello. She told me, it will be fine and that she just needs some more time and that the doctors know what they are doing. I regained some strength and told her she should call whenever she wants to. Later she talked to the kids and it really helped her. She laughed with them, told them jokes about mental health and recollected some memories. Gradually, they let her meet her friends, then her parents, her siblings and finally me and the kids. That was almost 5 weeks after she got turned in. When she saw me and the kids she started to cry too and kissed all of us. She said she was sorry but I assured her there is nothing to be sorry about. They still kept her a couple of days for some final tests and let her finally go. She got back into work fairly quickly and we have the great relationship that we had before all of this. The kids are happy but still don't 100% know what exactly happened. There are still some traces of distrust in herself. She questions her feelings more often and glooms over stuff, but all in all, everything turned out to be good. Also, it's still not 100% clear why it happened at all. She can't recall banging her head against anything or anything different. It feels good writing this down. I wanted to thank everyone who answered and helped me with the initial post. Thanks to the people that almost immediately diagnosed her and made me call the police. I'm sorry that I didn't answer your private messages. I was quite busy, and talking about the mental health of my wife feels weird and bitter to me. She knows about this post and about the last posts and sends her love too. It has been 3 years since the last post from this user. As far as we can tell, everything turned out well.